Are you close enough to me? You're never close enough to me. Do I need to shower again?
I mean, that's what I always tell you. Take one, see if it takes. If you need to take another one, see how that one. Just got to keep going till one of them works.
Yeah.
Anyway, didn't mean to start that way.
Yeah.
Boy, big week.
Yeah. It was an epic weekend. It was really, really fun.
It really was.
Although we have some unpopular opinions we're going to share with you.
Unpopular opinions coming your way. Here we go. I'm just doing the breaks that way now.
You're doing the breaks that way?
Yeah, I'm newscastering it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. Yeah.
New at 10. Well, you get to hear what happened.
Stick with us.
To the baby elephant.
Yeah. We've got some unpopulars coming up at a. Anyway, gosh, where do we start?
How about with the 4th of July?
Yeah, let's start with the 4th of July. We were up in, I guess technically it's called Beaver Creek.
Yeah, that's what Beaver Creek is called.
Yeah. That's how town names work.
Well, the resort. I think that was like the base area.
Right. Well, we were playing actually right in front of the ski lift.
Yeah, a gondola.
Which obviously wasn't working.
Yeah, a gondola.
Gondola.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. That goes way up the mountain.
Yeah, the view from stage. It's like it's in the valley.
Gosh.
You could like see the mountains and kind of coming together in the distance, and the weather was perfect.
It's near Vail. Technically Avon, but Vail's going to be the one you recognize.
Well, some people would recognize Beaver Creek. If you have enough money, you might recognize.
You might. Yeah, you might. It was a good show. I mean, the weather was beautiful. It was also the sun, because we played, what did we play, 6 o'clock, 6:30?
6 to 7:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the sun is getting low.
Yeah.
And of course you're at, I don't know if it's 10,000 feet up there, but it's high. Mm-hmm. And boy, that low angle sun was...
It was pretty warm.
It was burning us up. I mean, the air temperature was very comfortable, but just getting... And Julian, I think it was the 4th or 5th song in.
He told me he needed to go get sunscreen. He was asked me on stage if I had sunscreen. I was like, yeah, it's on the floor in the green room. And he's like, I gotta go put some on. And he left the next song.
So we had it.
He didn't come back for
a
couple
minutes. We had one of your leads. And so he just bailed. And I knew what he was doing because he was center stage and that sun was just like, and he wasn't wearing a hat or anything. And so he was getting blasted. I had this little, and I don't know why I forget the thing. There's a little shade awning thing they can put on those stages. That was like an SL100 or whatever they are. And they have a little like shade cloth awning they can put that will shade the front of the stage without impeding the view. They didn't have one of those. I had a little bit of a banner or something.
Yeah, it was the banner in front of the line arrays.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was throwing a little shaft of shadow,
half
shadow that I was.
Everybody was hanging out in that little shaft of not sunlight, but shaft of shadow.
Every time there was a guitar solo, I'd like move up to the front for the guitar solo, and everybody was like filling in behind me to get in the shade for a second. It was, it wasn't hot. It was just that radiation of the sun.
Yeah.
Just the getting burned up.
Well, how about the show? I think it went great.
As good as it's going to go. We've talked about this before. It's not really going to get super fun and people up to the front and the whole thing until it gets dark.
Right.
And so 6:30 to 7:30, you can only do so well.
Right. Also, being outdoors, it doesn't keep the energy inside.
That's another...
the energy dissipates out into the atmosphere.
Big thing. And we picked some material based on that exact fact. There were tunes that we didn't do because, that's an indoor, nighttime song or with the jam or whatever. Yeah. That's just not going to work outdoors.
Yeah.
And so we customized it. I think we did as well as it would be possible to do in that situation.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to sound cocky, but we did fine, And
then the band after us was Bruce Springsteen. I was going to say Bruce Hornsby, and I was like, that is not Bruce Springsteen, of course, for the 4th of July.
Right.
And they killed it. They were a touring band. The lead singer from Las Vegas and the rest of the band from the East Coast.
And they were
Apparently.
clearly super pro. I mean, they really had it down.
They did great.
They really did great.
They had songs going from one to the next, especially near the end of their set. The crowd was going wild. The benefit of it being night. So that
Right.
really helps.
Yeah, that helped, but I got to give them all the credit in the world. I mean, they were running songs together, and we've got to get back to that. Somehow we've drifted away from that a
We're doing
little
too much
bit.
talking lately.
Yeah. For a long time, we were a little better at drilling.
Yeah.
Song to song to song. Anyway, but it was a great show, beautiful, all that stuff. And then we got up and went, oh gosh, we went near Leadville.
Yeah, we passed through Minturn.
Minturn.
So we decided to take a mountain day instead of coming straight home. And so we went south off 78 heading toward Minturn on, 84 or something? I can't remember the highway. I don't think I've ever been to Minturn, and it's so cute. It's
I don't think
gorgeous.
we've ever been through there. I mean, we do owe Chuck, the organizers. They got us a very nice hotel room, so we just stayed over, and then we went through Minturn, which is the cutest little. Did not seem to be super touristed out. I'm sure that plenty of the places are owned, but
it still feels pretty down to earth there.
Yeah,
to
and just the cutest little and maybe 20 miles from Leadville, not far. And then we went to a place called Hayden Meadows, which is I guess you'd call it a valley because it is very high, but it's there's snow-covered peaks kind of covering it, and then there's this big flat area. And it's near Leadville, so it's got to be, again, near 10,000 feet. And I did some fishing.
Yep, and I went on a little hike.
Yeah.
And I learned that area had been completely environmentally reclaimed. So in probably the 18, I don't know what.
Late 1800s.
Mining completely destroyed the ecological system. In that area, they had a photo of before and after. It was just brown and dead.
Dirt and mud. I mean,
dirt and mud, rocks. It was nothing.
Cut down literally every tree. They stripped out all the grass. They
killed everything.
Well,
with the mining.
With the mining stuff, they were also strip mining a lot. So they would be like just digging down. But
even just downstream, like everything died downstream.
Oh, yeah, because it's full of like really toxic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then starting in 2006, they started environmental reclamation.
Right.
And now that part of the river, the Arkansas River, is a gold medal trout fishery.
Yeah.
And it is extremely ecologically abundant, and it's gorgeous.
Which is a national designation.
Yeah.
Gold medal trout streams that's a national designation.
So that was uplifting news of the day to learn that.
I know. Well, and you wouldn't know going there. You would feel like, this is
feels very
untouched,
natural. Yeah.
Just gorgeous. And I had a great little, couple of hours of fishing, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those perfect days where one of the most fun things to me about fishing is when you make a cast and you just know that you are definitely getting bit on that cast. Like
you were talking about that.
It's almost like that thing where when you shoot a basketball, as soon as it's leaving your hands, you're like, yeah, I got that one. Like you just know immediately.
Interesting. I don't understand how you could know that, but I don't fish.
It's one of my favorite things where like I figured out what they were doing and where they were, and there was a weed edge and they were hanging out on the outside of the weed edge, and if you caught the angle right, where when you pulled your lure back, it would go right by the right angle, and you would just know as soon as you like cast it, you're like, oh, I got it, and like sure enough, 3 or 4 times in a row, not in a row, but throughout the day, but you just like over and over again, I'd be like 30, 40 casts, and then you just nail one exactly right, and you're like, oh, I'm getting bit now, and it just happened. And, not big, but, fun little trout, and shook them all off, didn't have to touch fish, just out there goofing around. Didn't want to eat the fish, just wanted to make them late for something.
Yeah. I want to go back to a couple of musical things related to that 4th of July gig.
Yeah, sure.
So... this is where our unpopular opinion lives.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
But before I get to the unpopular opinion, something weird happened on Edge of 17, which has not happened to me in a very long time. So we've been playing that song at every show for, I think we're going on 9 years now.
Wow.
You know, I kept saying we've been together for 8 years, but I think I've been saying 8 years for about a year now.
Huh.
I don't know.
I don't know that I've been in it that long, but close
anyway,
to it, yeah.
we do that song every single show.
Yeah.
Every single show. And there's a transition from, well, where the, let's see, where the first bridge ends and it goes into just a kind of an interlude, where
Yeah.
I'm not singing, and then I sing the chorus again. Well, the kick in that song is on the 1 and. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2. And it's a weird place for the kick to be. And somehow, when I sing the sustained note coming out of that first bridge, going into that interlude, I lose where the 1 is. It like my sense of where the 1 is gets to be a half beat off. I'm feeling it on the 1.
Right.
Which is normally where the kick lands.
Where the kick would be.
And I cannot for the life of me get back on. Like, I know I'm off.
Once
because
you're
I know
off,
that I know where it's supposed to be, but I can't change it. Like, and I was like, I lost the 1, and I went over to Skiles, Ryan Skiles, and I was like, I lost the 1, and he started counting for me, 1, 2, and I like mouth it back to him. I'm like, I can count that, but it feels like I'm going.
Can't get the.
Yeah, it feels like I'm going, like I'm singing on the upbeats, 1, 2, 3, and I can't reset my body. So I had to call a down section. I had to like basically get y'all to stop playing, and Joaquin was just on hi-hat, just so that I could just sing and you guys could catch up with me.
It seemed really seamless. Everybody knew what you wanted, and we just kind of like closed out and then restarted. It was an oddly, it was one of those stages where like you can't hear very well because everything is so loud.
Well, Ryan Skiles' keys monitor was blowing everybody up.
Barely got a sound check.
Yeah,
so, you know.
It's a pretty quick turnover.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick turnover, and that'll happen sometimes. And you know what? Ryan was absolutely right. Like, man, maybe you feel a little too loud on stage. You wouldn't necessarily make this decision with the audience, but if you're on stage, maybe you're a little too loud, but you don't want to ask for less because you don't know what less is going to be.
You might get a lot less.
A lot less.
Yeah. Yeah. Better to hear yourself loud than not at all.
Sometimes better to just leave it alone.
Yeah.
If you're not going to do a set break, just go like, just whatever I got is what I got.
Yeah.
Yeah,
anyway,
but it was a weird one.
It was weird that I lost the count there. That's the second time that's happened with Joaquin. And he's not playing anything wrong. And I thought it was because maybe the kick had moved. Like, it moves from one section to another, but we talked about it, and the kick is on the 1 and the entire song. So It's very strange. So at the next gig, I just counted. I like literally started counting on my fingers before I went into that section. I was like doing my like hand motions and stuff, and I'm like counting on my fingers, like make sure I can count through that sustained note. The thing is, it's not just a sustained note. It's a kind of go crazy note.
Yeah.
And I lose myself a little bit. And that's the interesting thing about being both a vocalist and a bassist. Like, as a vocalist, I get detached from the foundation of the song on occasion. I can lose the beat. I basically get free of the song when I'm going the most crazy, and then I have to come back in and find it again. And it's never been a problem.
Right.
On any song ever, but
you are rock solid.
Yeah.
I mean, for a singer.
But anyway.
Yeah, no, I wonder, we should talk about that. I actually have an idea. I wonder if when he's filling out of that, he's not cymbal crashing on an and 1, and that's just kind of blurring. He might be kind of going da 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 da, you know, and
right.
And it might just be kind of blurring that.
Maybe.
Which is, it's a cool fill. It might just be, you know.
Not the fill I'm exactly used to.
Every once in a while, that and 1 kind of thing can like make you go like, wait, where?
Which one is the one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Unpopular opinions.
Unpopular opinions. You know, I'm going to go out on a limb here. And as much as I really enjoyed and thought the Bruce Springsteen tribute was great, unpopular opinion that happens to be correct. Born in the USA is not a patriotic song. If you listen to the verses of that song is not saying it's great to be born in the USA. And I
Can
hate
you
to
remember
ruin that song. Oh, the
any
guy
lyrics?
goes to Vietnam and then he comes back with a bunch of problems and then he can't get a job and then like all this stuff is like,
Oh,
and he had to kill people and he's like
I
messed
have
up for the rest of
never
his life.
listened to those lyrics.
Dude, the verses are rough. It is like,
Oh
it's
my
about,
gosh.
it's not, and if you know Springsteen's oeuvre, a lot of his music is about that blue collar, and not necessarily rural, but you know, whatever, dissatisfaction with life and stuff. Like an awful lot of his material is that way. But if you listen to Born in the USA, that chorus is very triumphant.
Yeah.
But if you listen to the verses, it is about someone who feels very much like this.
Oh man, I love that song more now because of that.
It is a
Knowing that.
fantastic song. I mean, it's amazing. And it's talking about something that I happen to know is absolutely true. It's talking about like a generation of people that I know.
Yeah.
And that happened to a lot of people of that generation where, you know, I got the factory job and then the factory closed and then I had to go to Vietnam and then I came back and there was nothing and like just this like, and that is that's what that
Yeah.
song is.
Ah.
And it's always sung so patriotically and so many politicians love to walk on stage to it and you're like, I think you might want to check those verses, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a heck of a thing. So again, no reflection on Bruce in the USA,
Which is the name of the tribute.
which is the name of the tribute. And again, fantastic. Their drummer, I was thinking about looking him up on Facebook and just being like, dude,
Oh, you should.
great work, like fantastic, you know. And I don't know if they were on a click or not. It sort of sounded like they were, and if they were, he was moving it along really well. Yeah. Anyway, you know, the other one,
The other unpopular opinion?
I guess we can't avoid it being about patriotic stuff because it was the 4th of July. But yeah, we had some thoughts about the national anthem.
Yeah, not the national anthem itself, but the typical performance of the national anthem.
Or what the typical performance has turned into.
Yes, that's it.
Which, and gosh, I don't remember the young woman's name, and she was phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal.
So this is not a criticism of her performance.
No.
It's a criticism of what the expectation has become for the national anthem.
That's a great way to say it.
And she fulfilled that expectation to a very high level. I mean, it's to
Yeah, it was
perfection.
It was amazing.
But what I don't like these days about the national anthem is that it has become a vehicle for showing off
Right.
vocal acrobatics,
Yeah.
which means you're listening to the acrobatics, you're not listening to the song.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's my opinion about a lot of singing in general.
Right.
It's just become like a competition to see who can go the highest and do the biggest run and hold out notes the longest and do the most showy thing. And all of that detracts from the message. I guess it distracts and detracts. I sang the national
Yes.
anthem one time at a roller derby, and I gave it just enough, I don't know, zing to fit in the modern world, but I really focused on the lyrics, and that's what, I mean, it's a powerful song, right? We don't know if this country's made it through the night, but we see this evidence, and with the morning rose and the flag was still there, and we made it.
It's very moving all on its own.
Yeah, and we don't get that from most typical national anthem performances these days. So that's my unpopular opinion about it. I want people to sing it plainly and with feeling that isn't riffs and runs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and then it gets the big cheers.
I know
And they hold the really long, and it's
that's the
what
thing.
crowds want.
It is what crowds want.
So that's why it's an unpopular
Yeah,
opinion, because
I
the
don't like
crowd
that.
was cheering really big when they would hold a really long note or do a
Do an extra high note.
yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, and they were it was, and I hated that it was taking me out of it. And you know, I mean, I'm standing there with my hand on my heart, as you do, facing the flag. You can see, because you know that's what you do. But this particular singer, as great as she was trying to really R&B it up. So like some of the like lower stuff was getting real like Orson Welles-y. It was like, gave truth to the na,
Oh, really?
because they were trying to keep like open so that when they went higher they could do all the like, and it just got really like sludgy. And but the main thing, of course, was it's not, the national anthem shouldn't be for applause breaks.
This is an unpopular opinion about music in general.
Yeah.
Is that, you and I know how to get the woos. That's what we call it. We
call it getting the woos.
We know how to do things that make crowds go woo and cheer. And those things are usually the cheapest things you can do. It's a high note. It's a sustained note.
It's the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Hila.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something fast.
Yeah.
And agile. And that's, we know how to get the woos. That's what modern music seems to have become, is like a competition to get the woos.
Right.
Not a competition to mean the most or to deliver the most impactful emotional performance.
Or to just be like a sweet, like, man, you just delivered that and the timing was good and the phrasing was great and you put a little articulation here and, the front of that one note was a little clicky and the next one was a little smooth and
the subtle stuff,
The subtle stuff. And, it's hard to, on the other hand, to be fair, it's hard to get away from when that is the audience expectation.
Yes.
And I guess to bring this full circle, it's just a bummer that has become the expectation.
Yes.
And it's fair to say, that is an extremely hard song to sing. It is crazy range. It is some odd melodic jumps. Yeah. If you're singing that at all and sounding good, you're a great singer.
Yes.
And we've talked, like Cody's done it a bunch of times. Yeah, it's Lydian mode. Or a bar or two it is, but it's a rough song.
Octave and a half range. It's got octave jumps in it, sixth jumps in it.
But gosh, sing the words, let the words be the words.
Yeah. Although, to play devil's advocate like I like to do, I always like to find the exception in whatever rule we put down. I do sing Landslide pretty unadorned, which I'm glad that I have the opportunity to do.
That is very true. Yeah.
By that point in the show, everyone's paying attention, and I don't feel like I have to get the woos. We've already won them by that point, and we're going to get more woos later, and so I feel like I can be really authentic singing Landslide, and I don't decorate it up. I in fact pull it back.
It's nice to find those moments where you can.
Yeah.
I guess we can skip forward to... Thursday, 4th of July, we were up in the mountains playing a 4th of July celebration. And then Saturday night, we were in Colorado Springs playing at Boot Barn Hall. We've been there a million times. Mm-hmm. And I guess what is bringing me full circle is I'm finding with Petty Nicks sometimes that I'm doing the same thing where I feel like I have solos. Like, I have a bunch of jammy stuff. And I'm trying to find places to pull back a little bit and just not have it be this, like, just...
an onslaught of amazing solos.
Yeah. Well, and a funny thing about that was we were hanging out after the show, like, meeting people, as you do, or as you should do. That is the real job part of... But anyway, we're out meeting people, Mark and Suzanne, lots of people we know. And I'm not saying it was more than 3 or 4, but a bunch of guys that I did not know came up and were like, man, you should be playing like so much more. Like, I don't know. And I'm like, are you insane? Like, I'm doing so much. And they were like, man, you're like so generous, like handing it off to the other guys, but man, you should be like doing, and I'm like,
really?
I was like, I feel like I am overdoing it.
Huh.
Because
interesting.
Man, that last 30 minutes of the set.
It's all you. It
might be 8 minutes of me. Like, I mean, maybe that's an exaggeration. But there's a lot. Mm-hmm. I have a hard time believing you would see that show and be like, they should let the guitar player play more. Like,
I get bored. I'm like, how long do I have to play this tambourine? Oh my God, Justin's still going. Ah.
Sometimes I feel like I need to. In my defense, taste-wise, maybe not musicianship-wise, I will occasionally get lost and I can't figure out how to get out of it.
Oh, really?
And not timing wise. I haven't lost the beat or I haven't lost the chord changes, but in a melodic sense, I can't find a way to tie it off.
Yeah.
And especially by the end of having played 2.5 hours, I'm like, I could just repeat one of my stock in my pockets, here's the end of the solo thing. But I've now done some of those a few times. I'm trying to find a new way to be like, just melodically, like, no, I'm definitely done. And I'm trying to find another one, and I'll get kind of lost. And I'm just like, I just can't find how to get out of this thing. I mean, I can keep playing notes and melodies, but I can't find the period to the sentence. Mm-hmm. And so it'll go around again, and I'm like, I didn't find it again. And I'm like,
so that's what's
sometimes that's what's happening. And of course you're, standing up in front and you're doing this and you're doing that, and you've got to, what your next move is, or, but just sometimes I cannot find the period to the sentence.
Huh.
And I'm just like, I really want to tie this off in a way that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I just bail. I'm like, all right, whatever. Like
hit a high note and bail.
Hit a high note. Throw up the hand.
Right.
Yeah. It has been a bunch of fun playing with Ryan. We had Ryan on both of these shows.
Ryan Skiles.
Ryan Skiles, we talked about last week.
He was the original Teddy Nick's Experience
keyboard
player.
Yeah, and he's back. And we actually got to hang out some after the show because we played so early and we were all staying over for the night. So got in some good hanging out with band people time. Boot Barn was,
I was exhausted at Boot Barn, actually, because I had an epic hike that morning. I did a hike with my friend Suzanne, and I didn't pay any attention to what she picked. It just crept up on me. I knew we had a hike scheduled.
Right.
I just told her, I need to be back home to leave by 2, and she's like, how about this 8-mile hike? And I was like, sure, it's in Boulder, 8-mile hike, no problem. So, sounds great. We're going to start early, no problem. Well, turned out to be a 9-mile hike, but 3,000 feet elevation gain. So
which is massive.
Brutal hike.
What, 200 stories? What is that?
Isn't it about like 10 feet a story?
Yeah, so I mean.
So 300 stories?
Yeah, so the equivalent of going up 300 flights of stairs.
Yeah. It was steep and unending.
Yeah.
The view was pretty incredible. It was South Boulder Mountain for anybody who knows the area.
And so you were a little wiped out, but the crowd was great, and I was a little worried about it because a holiday weekend like that, July 4th was Thursday, and then we were playing Saturday, July 6th, and that's just, I mean, indoor ticketed shows are not going to do great in the summer in Colorado.
Right.
They're not going to be terrible, but it's going to be a softer audience. People want to be outside.
Yeah. And 4th of July weekend, so many people are in the mountains. So we did not sell out before the show.
Right.
But we did sell 400 tickets before the show.
And
pre-sale.
Yeah, 400 pre-sale, and then we got almost to selling out. They said there were like 40 walk-ups.
Yeah. Pretty darn good.
Not bad for I would argue one of the tougher weekends of the year. I mean, tougher, of course, would be between Christmas and New Year's, or the weekend after New Year's.
Or the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Weekend after Thanksgiving's really not good. There are weekends of the year that, like, man, that's a tough sell. It's just people have family in town. They're out of town seeing family. Mm-hmm. All those reasons. So it was great to see, and that crowd was amped up. There was somebody having a birthday.
Yeah.
And they had rented a party bus, and they'd brought like 30 or 40.
Oh, and dude, we let her on stage.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I had no idea about this. So what we're doing after the show is over, before the encore now, is that Maddie, who is on video, and I call each other immediately when I get off stage to decide whether we're going to do an encore or not, so that she can coordinate with the lights.
And she's got a good view of the crowd.
Yeah. So that we can bring the house lights up if we're not doing an encore, or leave them down if we are doing an encore. And normally the phone is ringing by the time I get backstage, and it wasn't. And so I called her, and it took her a couple of rings to answer, and I was like, what is going on? And she just was totally ruffled, and she's like, can we get that birthday girl up on stage, please? And I was like, okay, if Maddie says we're bringing her on stage, I guess we're bringing her on stage. And I was like, okay, and we're doing the encore. So we went back out, and You guys probably like, what the heck is going? We never invite somebody on stage.
Oh, this band in particular would never let somebody. But hey, if you buy 40 tickets, well,
Exactly. And she did great. I mean, it's a wild card just to have an audience member on stage. You don't know what they are gonna do.
yeah,
And so just the knowledge that there's someone on stage is a little freaky for me. But all she did was go and dance next to each person. So
Yeah.
that was fine.
yeah. And I got skipped, and she was very apologetic. And I was like, it's really fine. Don't worry about
It's
it.
the shower. Did you shower that day?
No, I actually told her she made the right choice because I'm a little unpredictable on stage. You don't want to
You could get clocked by a
You don't want to be walking up behind me if I don't know that you're there. You're fine because I know that you're there and you're on my radar and I'm keeping track of where you are. And Julian, to a lesser degree, he might be over in my space, but in general, like you don't want to be walking up behind me. Like you don't know where I'm going to decide to just bail really big. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So a rare thing, but it was a party crowd. I mean, it was partly led by that group of friends that were all there, but it was kind of fun playing for a party crowd.
Yeah.
And then we hightailed it home and spent all day working on house and yard and stuff. So
Yeah.
super exciting.
Yeah.
Super
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah. Gosh, boy, any takeaways?
Don't hike 3,000 feet upward up on a mountain before doing a gig the same day.
I was wondering about that before you even went. I was like,
Well, it wasn't supposed to be that high, or that. I didn't think it was going to be that bad of a
yeah,
hike.
but still, I was like, wow,
But,
that's gonna be a long day.
I actually ended up performing really great. What I did was I front loaded the alcohol. So I drank quite a bit, like an hour before the show.
I mean,
I
yeah.
did not feel
No,
drunk
it wasn't
at
that
all.
much. Yeah, but
I
like
think
still,
it was my 3 drinks.
yeah.
And it freed me up enough to just ignore being tired and ignore my feet hurting and just like lean into
Yeah.
it. And then that carried me through the whole show. And then I was sober by the end.
I think we also had a good vibe going. I think
Yeah.
that helped a bit. We were having fun hanging out backstage. So we talked about it before. It's a very long hang backstage. They open doors so early at that place, so we've got like 2 full hours of just like sitting around and
eating dinner.
And all that stuff. But I think in this case, it kind of we went on stage having fun and in a good mood and
Yeah.
Anyway, let's close it down. We had a big epic week and got some fun stuff coming up.
Like Mom's going to be here for a day.
Your mom is going to
She's
be in
coming
town for a bit.
Just this weekend, overnight.
Yeah.
So it's going to be great to see her.
And I am still recording away, so...
And we're playing at Cherry Creek Marina on Wednesday.
Oh,
so
gosh, we sure are. We'll have something to talk about there.
The night that this comes out, we're going to be... When this comes out, we are going to be sound checking.
At
Cherry
Cherry
Creek
Creek. Yeah. So, boy, here we go, and here we've gone, and we'll just see you next week.
Who's this podcast sponsored by?
As always, it's sponsored by Performance High.
Voice and Music Studio.
I got it right this time. Okay, guys, thank you so much, and we will talk soon.
Bye.